Episode 13, Between the Sun and Moon. We begin on Celeria, but not at the royal palace. Instead, our story starts in a cozy little town called Paraloon, a small moon-themed town steeped in Selenian culture, which lives under a perpetual night sky courtesy of moon magic. It's located along the coast, nestled at the base of a hill. If you want to see a real-world inspiration, look up the hamlet of Assos in Kefalonia Island in Greece, and awe at its cozy charm. A cloaked figure makes their way through the town, trying not to draw attention towards themselves as they head towards the beach, eyeing a small private island in the distance. Crossfade over to the villa on said island, and we see the figure approach the front door. Luna answers, and the figure reveals themselves as Stella. Luna is surprised to see her, and Stella says she needs to talk with her about something important. We then cut to the Hawk spacecraft, where the specialists are transporting the Winx to Celeria before dropping off the Althea professors at Cloud Tower. Once they get Avalon some water, he tells them about a name Selina mentioned that deeply frightened him. Acheron, the Scarlet Paladin. The mere mention of him or his cabal is forbidden among the Paladins and Templars of Lightrock, but they all know the story well. Long ago, Acheron was a revered paladin who fought to protect the magical universe. Though paladins are taught the importance of purifying oneself through the light, Acheron took it to an extreme, fixating on the moral failings of all around him, and most often himself. He was a truly miserable man. He became so cynical, he cloistered himself away in Lightrock Monastery, choosing to learn about the universe through his books rather than suffer the darkness of the worlds firsthand. Through his studies, Acheron became obsessed with the legend of the Spring of Light, the place where the Ring of Celeria was said to be forged. He believed that the dragon flame which created the universe was to blame for the chaotic nature of life, using its tie to the Shadow Phoenix as proof. Rather, he looked to the light of Celeria as the one true light, and thought it could purify the entire magical universe. To prove his belief, he took 4 of the worst criminals kept in Lightrock Monastery, well before criminals of their caliber would have been exiled to the Omega Dimension, and brought them to Celeria. He pledged himself to then Queen Thea's conquest of her world in exchange for a chance for them all to purify themselves in the second sun. The process changed them irrevocably, and the rest became almost as mad as Acheron, their obsession with purity and light constantly conflicting with the memories of their crimes. Dismissing his vows to Lightrock, Acheron devoted himself entirely to Queen Thea, or rather, his own cause, under her oversight. And so, he and his followers, Phlegethon, Cocytus, Lethe, and Styx, became the rivers of the underworld. It's unknown what happened to them, but they were very much real, and Avalon fears the fact that Selina was even able to speak to him through the Legendarium. Whatever the case, Bloom believes even the Tricks aren't aware of Selina's true agenda. We then cut to Althea, where the Owls of Diamond are enjoying themselves with an off-the-rails party. Stormy and Chimera even wind up having a contest over whose powers can be the most destructive, with Darcy begrudgingly cleaning up after them. Selina's not exactly enjoying herself, sitting in the corner with a drink. Crystal approaches her, asking if she's the 4th trick she keeps hearing about. Selina laughs at the idea, but Crystal reaffirms it, saying that she basically is the Trix' 4th member with how much they trust her. Crystal attempts to try and fish for information, including about the book that Selina uses. Icy notices this with how uncomfortable Selina is being, and when Icy asks, Selina says she was just leaving. After she leaves, Icy warns Crystal that as their only Althea recruit, she still has a long way to go to prove her loyalty. Cutting to the Celerian royal palace, the Winx arrive looking for Stella. Unfortunately, Radius has no idea where she is. They'd gotten into an argument shortly after Stella got home. Radius refuses to say about what, and Stella left without a word days ago. The Winx are bummed out, but wonder if Stella's mother might know something. Radius tells them she currently lives in a small town that secludes itself from the rest of his kingdom, clearly dismissing its very existence. Regardless of Radius' attitude, the Winx set out to find this town and hopefully find Stella. Cut to Luna's home, where she's brewed tea for herself and Stella. Stella was nervous about coming all the way out here, but she knew her mother was the only person who could help her. Once she got home, she came across all the research she'd done on Selenia, the ancient kingdom of the moon, and Radius refused to discuss the matter when Stella brought it up to him. Something about it called out to her, even with her memories missing. Luna admits she was wondering whether she'd even try discussing this, given Radius had forbidden discussions of Selenia, and even acknowledging its existence was considered taboo in Solaria. In fact, it's believed their world had another name, a true name before Solaria's conquest, but it has since been lost. Stella talks about how even though she's the fairy of the sun and the moon, she had always felt distant from her lunar side. She remembers how distant her mother was compared to her father, especially after the divorce. Even at the princess ball, Luna not only hadn't shown up, but hadn't checked in on Stella when her entire life was falling apart. It wasn't until Tritanus' attack that Luna resurfaced, and Stella wants to know why. She's not sure how she remembers this, even after the spell which wiped out her memories, but she keeps seeing flashes of them. Luna admits that she always wanted to be close to Stella, but felt she was too steeped in the sunlight by her father, by the whole kingdom, to reach. And Radius likewise reinforced that there was to be no mention of Selenia around Stella, and her deciding to be the fairy of both the sun and the moon infuriated Radius, much to Stella's surprise, since Radius took that anger out on Luna. In any case, Luna apologizes for all that's happened, and says she will happily help Stella in this endeavor of uncovering her Selenian heritage. The Solarian Royal Library had nothing on the subject, but Luna suggests they investigate the castle ruins at the top of the hill. It is said to have been one of the shelters created by Queen Hecate, the last queen of Selenia and a witch of the moon, during the war with Solaria. Once they arrive, they find that the castle is in tatters, with broken walls and shattered statues from some kind of struggle. Stella can even feel the turmoil and intense magical energy still in the air. Luna explains that though Selenia was destroyed, its people live on, whether on Solaria, in places dedicated to their heritage like Paralune, or other worlds, and through them, Selenia lives on and survives. Stella senses a much stronger magic deeper inside, which leads them to a secret chamber beneath a castle made of crystal mirrors, all shining with moonlight. They're both in awe, and Luna suggests that this could have been a private meditation chamber, as lunar magic deals heavily in one's emotions and psyche. Getting an idea, Stella asks her mother if it's possible to see the past through another's emotions, and Luna guides Stella in a meditation, using their moon magic to tap into the remnants of Hecate's magic all around them. And so, the moonlight recreates the castle in its former glory before them, with Queen Hecate looking up at the moon as she holds a special book, the Legendarium. We cut back to Alfea, where Selina is in her room. She decides to open the Legendarium to talk to Acheron, who is clearly agitated, saying Selina better have a good excuse for bothering him. Apologizing quickly, Selina tries to ask him about his plan. She's agreed to free him once she becomes Witch Queen, but she's curious about what comes after. Acheron repeats that he's promised her all the fantasies that she has ever wanted. As Selina tries to ask more questions, Acheron silences her, asking if she doesn't trust him. Frightened, Selina says that she does, but she's just getting cold feet. She knows Bloom has hurt her, but she can't help but envy the closeness that she has with the Winx, especially Stella. Acheron takes a jab, reminding her that their bond has been single-handedly destroyed by Selina, and thus saying all she missed out on was a meaningless connection that would have eventually been eroded. He also reminds her that Bloom abandoned and betrayed her, just like Eldora, and warns her that the tricks will be no different. Acheron is the only one who can help Selina achieve greatness, and justifies his harshness by likening his methods to forging a diamond through fire. And if she doesn't understand that, he'll have no choice but to revoke the magic that he's given her. With that, he closes the Legendarium. Selina is then startled by a knock at the door and is surprised to see Icy entering. Icy says every witch's personal space is sacred and to be respected, especially within the coven. Icy, having no tact, asks point blank about Selina's feelings for Bloom. Though Selina is surprised, she says she buried them a long time ago, and it merely fuels her own motivation. Before they finish their conversation, Darcy and Stormy call them, as the locator spell has found their next target, Stella's Ring of Celeria, which she's currently wearing. We then see that Crystal has overheard all of this through her flowers, though Darcy seems to sense someone is listening, which Icy doesn't find surprising. Back at the castle, we resume where we left off as Stella and Luna watch Queen Hecate reading over the Legendarium. The castle shakes and Hecate heads outside to see her guards being swept away by blasts of plasma, fire, and water. Through the chaos, the assailants reveal themselves, a group of 5 hooded sorcerers that Hecate refers to as the rivers of the underworld: Lethe, Phlegethon, Cocytus, Styx, and their leader, Acheron. They've been sent here by Thea, Queen of Celeria, to capture Hecate. Acheron wields the Ring of Celeria, personally given to him to ensure their victory. Styx, however, isn't as keen to fight as Acheron, and attempts to play diplomat by promising Hecate that they'll go easy on her if she surrenders herself and her magic. Of course, Hecate refuses and instead uses the Legendarium to summon the Vesperidi, ancient fairies with power over night and the setting sun, to maintain the balance between Celeria and Selenia. Though they do hold their own against the rivers of the underworld, Lethe is able to trap Hecate in their chains. Before she can be captured, Hecate recites a special spell, dispelling her essence and sealing it inside the Legendarium. Stella's not sure what to make of this, feeling a surge of contradictory emotions. Rage for her Selenian ancestry being trampled upon, but also guilt for her Celerian heritage, which was behind such strife. She stares at the ring on her finger, then tearfully throws it on the ground before going silent. Watching Stella's sadness through the crystal ball, though not having seen the vision that she witnessed, the Tricks decide to hang back and let the Legendarium do their work for them. Selina recounts the tale of Narcissa, a princess of Celeria and fairy of mirrors who became obsessed with how others perceived her. So dedicated to ensuring she was beloved by all, she manipulated others with her magic to portray an idealized version of herself, only to lose herself and be forgotten by all in the process, being trapped in a mirrored oblivion for eternity. Darcy specifically silently goes, "I've been there." Selina summons Narcissa, sending her to retrieve the ring, which is currently in Stella's possession. We then cut back to the town of Paraloon, where the Winx have arrived, and discuss how they're going to find Stella. As they walk, they noticed everyone beginning to act oddly, staring into their reflections in glass storefronts or on their phones. Aisha, now having a deeper connection to the sea, senses the tides becoming restless, and thinks it has something to do with their connection to the moon. Musa also senses discord in the air around them, saying that it's coming from the castle. Bloom figures it must be the Tricks at work again. They head off to investigate and hopefully find Stella. Luna realizes something is wrong but can't get Stella's attention, as she's in some sort of trance. A voice laughs from the shadows, and the vision shatters, revealing the spirit of Narcissa. Stella has gazed into the reflections of history, and now she's been paralyzed by her shock. Before Luna can do anything, she's likewise trapped in the mirror world. Narcissa, however, is intrigued by Stella's darkness, and beckons her to let it consume her, to make the people who've hurt her feel what she's been made to suffer. Stella is consumed by the mirror, and she emerges with fully lunar magic as Dark Stella. Episode 14, Moonlight Mirror. We begin in the royal palace of Celeria, where Stella finds herself in her Season 1 outfit. She's summoned to see her parents in the throne room by her guards, where they inform Stella that they are getting a divorce. Stella is confused since she thought theirs was a kingdom of the sun and moon. Luna is silent, but Radius says that unfortunately, there are just too many issues to work out. Stella will be staying at the palace with her father, while Luna will be moving out shortly to her old family home. Stella is upset, but she hides it through a smile, saying whatever makes her father happy. She's immediately caught in gripping pain, and when she looks in a nearby mirror, she finds she has no reflection. We then cut to the mirror world, a strange place seemingly made of mirror shards, where Luna and the denizens of Paraloon are all trapped in mirrors. Dark Stella looks at her past through the mirror, then shatters it in fury, cursing her parents for neglecting her pain because of their own conflict. Narcissa, the ruler of this realm, promises Stella they'll get plenty of revenge together. But first, she asks for the Ring of Celeria, and Stella happily gives it away, seeing it as a symbol of all she hates about her family. Narcissa creates a mirror through which to speak to Selina. She passes the ring through it, but warns Selina to be wary of Acheron, as he is no friend to those who use the darkness, and certainly no friend to Selenians. Selina is unsure of how to respond, then quickly closes communication when the Tricks return to Faragonda's office. She shows them the ring. Now they get to watch the Winx be eliminated by one of their own, and Selina quietly admits that she envies Stella. The Winx arrive at the castle, and Bloom immediately feels the dark magic all around them, or rather, the moon magic. Narcissa reveals herself and faces off against the transformed Winx, who can't seem to get a hit on her. She's able to create duplicates of herself, along with mirrored versions of the Winx, confusing them into attacking each other. Though Narcissa is amused, she decides to let Dark Stella join in on the fun. As she reveals herself, the Winx are shocked to see Stella in such a state. Bloom asks Stella what's wrong, and Stella responds that she's about to remove a thorn in her side. As the Winx fight, they find Stella is able to reflect their magic back at them. Once Dark Stella traps the other Winx in the mirror world, Bloom tries reasoning with her. She says this isn't who Stella is and begs her to remember how much they've been through together. Stella says she remembers visiting Bloom in Gardenia over the summer, and how heavily Bloom leaned on her after her and Sky's breakup. It was fun for a while, but Stella could feel Bloom's desperation and loneliness, and it messed with her own head given how depressed she became from learning about Celeria's grim history of conquering Selenia and eradicating its culture. Her mother's culture, and half of hers that was kept from her. Bloom apologizes, saying that she had no idea, to which Stella responds, "Of course you didn't, because you never cared to ask. You're so wrapped in your own self-pity, you're oblivious to the pain others carry around you, or the pain you inflict on them." Bloom tears up, realizing that Stella is right. She had never even asked what Stella had been up to when they were catching up. She stops herself as the memories grow painful, and decides she has to address the root of the problem. She heads into the mirror chamber, but before she can use her fairy dust, she's trapped in the mirror realm by Stella. There, Bloom is taken back to the Forest of Flowers, her teenage self training her magic with Eldora. Afterwards, Eldora goes inside to brew them all some tea, and Bloom sits beside Selina in the Lanusia field. This transitions to the summer visit, where the adult Bloom sits beside Stella on the beach. Bloom and Stella reminisce on their adventures, and Bloom thanks Stella for bringing her to Elfia. It's because of her that they formed the Winx Club and saved the universe time and time again, and Bloom can't imagine a world without her. Stella agrees, but Bloom takes it a bit further, saying that she's always viewed Stella as her best friend, but lately she's wondering if she's feeling something more. Without Sky around, Bloom has been realizing she'd never got a chance to pursue many romantic relationships, aside from Andy in her youth. And now Bloom is realizing that her love might be a bit more complicated than that. Stella is a bit awkward responding. She says that she understands, and she herself has fawned over both men and women, and she and Brandon are comfortable enough in their relationship to do so together. But Stella doesn't feel anything like that for Bloom, aside from their friendship. Bloom apologizes, then makes an excuse to head back to Alfea, leaving Stella alone. The other Winx, meanwhile, free themselves from their prisons, finding themselves floating through the mirror world. They surmise that their Ardoric's powers must be protecting them from Narcissa's magic, which Narcissa takes note of, swarming them with mirrored copies of herself. Bloom, meanwhile, falls deeper into her vision. Narcissa muses about her destruction, while Stella isn't as enthused. She begins to try and break free of her dark self, but Narcissa isn't having any of this, trapping Stella in her own mirror. We then dive into Stella's vision, where she's in the planetarium of the Solarian Royal Palace with her mother, the Hall of the Universe. Luna points to Solaria, describing it as the world of the stars. Stella asks about the moon, and before Luna can answer, Radius snaps at her from across the room. His glare silences Luna, and Stella is terrified by this different side of her father. He reminds Luna that she's not to speak of Selenia or moon magic, especially around Stella. He may have loved Luna once, but his duty is to the kingdom of the sun, first and foremost. Suddenly, the sun at the center of the room brightens, its light engulfing Luna. Stella reaches for her, only for the light to push her back. Radius tells Stella to stay back and remember her place. As the princess of Solaria, she must stand as an example of their kingdom's greatness. He approaches the weakened Stella, hugging her as he says she's always shone brighter than either of Solaria's sons, and saying that the fairy of the shining sun does not cry. Stella is eager to hug her father back, but as she sees Luna in pain, she pushes him away, saying that she's both of the sun and the moon. Yet Radius only acknowledges half of her. Even if it means losing his love, Stella must embrace all of who she is, and undo the harm that Solaria has done, as the fairy of both the sun and the moon. Against Radius' demands, Stella leaps into the sun, enduring blinding light and intense heat, as she reaches for her mother's hand. Golden flames ignite, dispersing the sun and freeing Stella and Luna. The flames enwrap Stella, and she transforms into Ardorix. Stella finds herself and her mother in the mirror world. Luna thanks Stella for saving her and congratulates her on her new power. Stella likewise apologizes, as she hadn't made much of an effort to connect to Luna either. But now they have a chance to get to know each other and have a real relationship, and she's not going to let anyone take that away. That moment is interrupted as Luna points to all the people of Paraloon floating through here, clearly entranced. Stella also spots Bloom, clearly worried for her safety before hesitating. In any case, this is clearly the work of the Tricks, and Stella is determined to keep the Legendarium from being used against Selenia's people. Stella attempts to fight Narcissa, only to find her sun magic powerless here. As she realizes she has to use her moon magic, she recalls what she was told by Selina, on how moon magic draws from one's inner darkness and introspection. Recalling her memories, Stella, in her mind's eye, envisions herself in the mirror. As she focuses on her reflection, she summons her dragon weapon, the Celestial Scepter, essentially a replacement for the Ring of Solaria that is themed for all the planets and stars, along with the moon. Using this scepter, Stella harnesses her moon magic to counter Narcissa's spell, shattering the mirror world and returning everyone to reality. The other Winx are happy to see Stella and Bloom safe and sound, and Stella quickly dispatches Narcissa. She finds Narcissa crying as she's surrounded by glass shards. Stella, against the others' warnings, looks into the shards and sees a flash of Narcissa being called a witch for her moon magic. Stella realizes that Narcissa, like herself, had Selenian heritage, and had moon magic rather than sun magic, which led to her being vilified in the stories that Solarians shared of her. Stella hugs Narcissa, and that seems to be enough to allow Narcissa to peacefully fade. Stella sweeps the glass shards into her fairy dust bottle, promising that she's going to make things right. Crossfade to a while later, where everyone in Paraloon seems to be okay. The Winx and Luna celebrate with dinner by the beach, where Stella's caught everyone up about what she saw. The Legendarium was originally meant to help protect Selenia. It now is being misused by the Tricks to wreak havoc throughout the magical universe. Stella thanks Bloom for jumping into the mirror to save her, but she'll need time to warm up to her. In any case, she'll happily rejoin the Winx if it means getting the Legendarium out of the Tricks' hands. Everyone is glad, though Bloom says that they just have one more Winx to bring on board, the 7th Winx. Back at Althea, Selina mulls over what Narcissa told her. She recalls her mother in Gardenia telling her the story of Selenia, and she explains that her side of the family escaped to Earth to save themselves from Solaria's conquest many generations ago. But since then, their magic spark has faded. She tells Selina that she'll never have magic like she was meant to, but she must make sure she carries on Selenia's culture to her children one day. In the present, this reaffirms to Selina that serving Acheron is the only way that she has magic, and it's too precious to her to turn back now. In the dungeon, meanwhile, Nex is surprised when Crystal pays him a visit. She rushes to help him escape, only to be caught by the Tricks, with Darcy having disguised herself as Nex. Before Crystal can run, she's caught as a traitor and spy. Icy gathers everyone around to watch, including Selina, as she freezes Crystal's wings, then shatters them with a snap of her fingers. Crystal is then imprisoned, with Selina highly disturbed by the Tricks' cruelty. Icy reminds them that this is the price traitors to the Owls of Diamond will pay, which has Selina even more on edge. Bloom and Stella, meanwhile, have a conversation on the beach. Stella still can't fully remember everything, but Bloom apologizes for how she treated her during the visit, for dragging her along through all the chaos with the Tricks, and for not considering how Stella felt about anything. Stella thanks her. She's not sure how she'll feel if she ever gets her memories back, but for the time being, she's willing to work with Bloom and the others to save the universe, especially if it's to stop the misuse of the Legendarium. Bloom goes to hug her, but stops herself, seeing that Stella is uncomfortable. Bloom apologizes again, Stella thanks her, and then she walks off, leaving Bloom to sit at the beach for a while with her thoughts.